Hey guys, it's Becky with Design Bundles, and I am back today to tell you all about working with faux leather, which is also commonly referred to as leatherette. So depending on your vendor and depending on the store, will depend on the terminology for you, but it's all fantastic and it's all really easy to work with once you get a few cut settings down and know the ins and outs of how to handle the material. So what we have for you today is an assortment of patterns and solids, and we are going to combine two of those to make some hair bows, which is a really awesome beginner tutorial. And of course, we'll share our tips and tricks along the way.
Okay, so here is a sample of the faux leather we're going to be working with today. Now, faux leather comes in solids and patterns galore, so it's completely up to you. I'm going to come through here. I'm going to work with, let's see, I want to work with these bottom two here. I've paired them up with some solids to give us a lot of contrast. There we go. And that's important when you're working with two-layer designs, which is what we're doing today. You want to have an assortment of pattern and also solid faux leather. That way you can really get the contrast that you need for your project. So move the rest out of the way. We can go ahead and load. Now let's go ahead and talk about what it takes to cut faux leather. Now faux leather is a fairly thick material, but you do not actually need to have a deep cut blade or a specialty blade. I use this Easy Tack spray, and I also use painter's tape or masking tape. And the goal of that is I want to either use a really sticky mat or have a way to secure the faux leather to the mat that we're going to use. So I'm going to give this a good spray real quick, and I want you to see what a difference it's going to make for our project. Okay, so I'm going to give that just a few minutes to dry, but another thing to remember is you want to cut pattern side down against the mat, and that's both for the pattern and the solid. You want the underneath exposed to the blade. And depending on the project that you're working on, this is a lot like cutting different pieces of or different colors of vinyl or any other material. You can either decide to let Cricut Design Space split these up into different mats for you, or you can cut pieces of faux leather and distribute them all on the same mat. So that part is up to you. Let's go ahead and turn back over to the software, and I'll tell you all about the cut settings that I use for these. Okay, so what I wanted to show you in the software, I've uploaded two bows to use with the two patterns of faux leather that we chose. And let's talk about sizing. Now, I'm from the South, so we use pretty big bows down here, and I prefer this main bottom piece to be 8 inches long. So depending on how the file is set up, that may be difficult because you want to keep all these sized together. So what I do is I draw a box. This box is 8 inches wide. And then what I do is I arrange this so it's on top, and I size my bow so that it's as close to that 8 inches wide as I can get. So that one is already taken care of. Let's do this one next. We'll arrange to the front, and I just enlarge the entire file until it gets close. There we go. Now, if this is a project that you do a lot of, then you can save this as a project in Design Space so that you don't have to size over and over. Once we're done with the square, we can go ahead and delete it. Now I have both of these and they're sized appropriately, but I'm going to be cutting these from different patterns and solids of faux leather. So for example, let's go ahead and ungroup our butterfly, because I know for the butterfly, I'm going to do the purple set. So this piece and this piece will both be purple. So I'll select them both, and I will go ahead and change my color to purple, and that will leave the darker color, which is actually a darker purple. It's a pattern purple and a solid purple. And I will change both of these to the darker purple. That way when they get put on the mat, I know which one is corresponding to the faux leather I've chosen. Now for this other one, we will be doing, let's go ahead and ungroup them. Are they all ungrouped? Let's see, there we go. So I will be using the pattern for this large pink piece here. So let's go ahead and, you know what, we'll leave that pink. So pink for the pattern. We will use a solid for the underlayer. So we'll use blue. Oh, that's purple. We need blue. And this bottom piece, we'll go ahead and use the pattern. So we'll fill it with the same pink. And this strip here will be in the blue. So there we go. So now when we click over to make it, we should have 4 different mats to choose from. Now you do want to make sure that these are arranged in a way that it fits your faux leather sheets. My faux leather is only 8 by 10, so this one is fine because I can put it long ways. This one would also be fine. This one is under 10, and this one will also. So those just happen to arrange in a good pattern, so that'll work out good, but just keep that in mind. I'm going to hit continue. Now these bows are set up to be symmetrical, so I do not have to mirror them, but remember we're putting the faux leather face down, so mirroring is something that you may need to take into consideration. Now I have set up a custom material type that cuts my faux leather really well, so let's go ahead and take a look at doing that. If I go to Browse All Materials, if I go down here to Material Settings at the bottom, I can scroll down to the bottom and choose Add New Material. So mine is going to be, we'll do Custom Leatherette, and I'm going to hit Save for the name. And basically, I switched mine all the way over to 350. I left it at the fine point blade because that's what I have. I'll choose Save. Now with that in mind, I can exit out. And now when I go back to Browse All, I can type in Custom, and my custom leatherette pops up. I choose Done. Now, don't forget, depending on where you get your faux leather, this can be different for you. So find a piece of faux leather, maybe a color or a pattern that you're not a fan of, and make sure you do some testing on that before you proceed to cut. But for this, I know that that setting works for me because I buy all my faux leather from the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to cut each one, and then we will reconvene when it's time to assemble our bow. So I just want to show you, this is a really good reason why you want to either use a really sticky mat or use a repositionable adhesive spray. Look how crisp my cut lines are. My leatherette did not move at all while it was on the mat, and it really results in a really great cut. So finding the right leatherette that works well for your purposes, and then using a sharp blade and a sticky mat or the adhesive spray really works to your benefit. I just could not have asked for better results than that. Okay, so we have 4 pieces for each bow, and of course we have a hot glue gun. That's how we're going to adhere it all together. And then we also have these alligator clips. So it's very easy. Think of it in terms of a base, a mid layer, and a top. Okay, so for this one, this is our base, this is our mid layer, and this is our top, and then we're going to secure it all together in the middle, which is also when we will add our alligator clip. Okay, so the base does not need any work from us. This is good to go. But this mid layer is what's going to form the bow. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply just a little bit of hot glue on the ends. Can you see that? And we want to fold them in. Okay, and that's what's going to form our bow shape. So I've just lined them up on the back, and you're just going to hold them there until the glue cools and secures in place. And then what I like to do is I like to secure this seam against the back of the base. So we'll add a little bit more hot glue. You don't have to go crazy with it. These are pretty durable. And position it top. You can also double check and just make sure that your centers line up. Okay. And now it's time to secure our front. So you can either add the hot glue here, I'm going to add it to the back, and we just repeat the process. Apply it there in the middle, just to make sure that it's all centered. And then we can apply a little bit of glue right to the middle here. We do not want this to seep out on the sides, so be a little sparing with it. And center it in the middle of your bow. Now flip it over. Make sure that it's straight and that it wraps around straight, and it does. Now we can adhere the alligator clip. Now be careful when you apply hot glue to these, the metal heats up, okay? You can decide either which way you want to apply it and run just a small amount of hot glue. Okay, put that in place. And then what I do is I put a teeny tiny amount of hot glue on the ends of both of our strips here. And then we can open the teeth from the alligator clip. Now be careful because they're a little sharp. If you have something that you can put right there, go ahead. I just use my finger. And wrap the faux leather inside the alligator clip. Okay, and then repeat the same on the other side. Now that part's up to you. Some people prefer to go ahead and secure the wrap in place and then apply their alligator clip on top. I just think that that pulls it all together. Okay, now if you smash down your bow, that's okay. You can fluff it back up. This is our cute little butterfly bow. So let's move on to this one. This one is not more complicated. It's just a little bit different. We are going to be looking at our base. We'll call this our mid layer and this our top layer. Okay, but it goes together a little bit differently because this mid layer, or this top layer rather, we're going to go ahead and put it together, and this layer will wrap around the outside. Okay, so let's take a look at how that works. We're going to fold this up just like we did our last bow. Okay, you following? There we go. And then this will wrap around. So what I like to do is I like to take this seam, because we're going to have another seam on the back. So I like to take this seam and put it against the front of this piece. Little drop of hot glue. Put that into place. And then it will wrap around as that. So then we can take a little bit of hot glue on our sides here. Now you will have a little bit, we'll call it a gap on the sides. It is supposed to be that way if you're using this file. So a lot of times bow designers will have a preview for you of what that bow will look like. So make sure you pay attention. You see what I'm talking about with the gap on this one? You have a little bit here. That's okay. That's how it's supposed to be so that the bow has dimension. Okay, then we apply it to the back like normal. Okay, we will attach this like normal. Now the great thing about these hair bows is you can switch it up. You can do patterns on the inside, patterns on the outside, patterns on the front, patterns on the back. So feel free to get creative with it. And the good thing about doing that alligator clip that way is it keeps your tabs pressed down so that you don't have to hold them there. So you just give it a few minutes and everything will be dried and ready to wear.
So how did you guys feel about working with Leatherette? So Leatherette, aka Faux Leather, is a really useful material. Of course, we made hair bows, cute little hair bows, right? But I wanted to show you, you can make no-sew wallets, a clutch, you can make bracelets, you can make earbud holders, you can also make probably the most common, these cute little earrings. So don't feel like faux leather is just for hair bows. It certainly is not. Definitely, get out there and search all the great files available on Design Bundles, and it will really expand your horizons on what's available using faux leather. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below because we are very responsive and we do love to hear from you guys and make sure that we have set you on the right track. And of course, I appreciate you joining me today. Subscribe to the channel because we have a lot of really great videos for you right around the corner.